Okay. A very, very good evening to everyone. I see we have a lot of participants in here today. Can I get a hi, please? Can you be responsive in the chat? Just a good evening would work. Okay. Thank you, Kamlesh. Nice. Great, great, great. Okay, so a very short introduction about myself, and then I will not waste your time any further, and we'll just begin with the session. Okay. So I'm Captain Adil Khan. I'm based out of Mumbai. I hold a commercial pilot's license and an airline transport pilot's license. Primarily, I'm a ground instructor. I run my own aviation academy where I'm preparing students for their competitive CPL ground examinations, which take place in India. So I have these classes online and offline, as well as students coming to me from all over the country. I have students all over the country who are learning with me online. So that's what I primarily do. And I've been doing this now for the past 6 years. I have a lot of experience. I undertake these exams myself every 3 years so that, I am concurrent with what's happening in the industry. Okay, so I'm assuming that most of you are amateurs here, have just ventured into what a CPL is and don't know much about it. Okay, so anybody here who's already decided that they want to become a pilot, like 100% sure, decided you want to become a pilot, you've started searching for flight schools, ground schools, etc. Anyone here? Yeah. Okay, Abhay says yes. What about the rest of you? Please be responsive. So, I mean, the quicker you respond, the quicker I can proceed with the session. If no, that's fine. You can just say no. That's completely fine. Okay. So some of you, yes, okay, that's very nice. Right? So I mean, most of you will be knowing what I'm talking about. But for the rest of you, don't worry because I'll be starting from the very beginning, from the very scratch. Okay. So you know what you're getting yourself into. For those who have not attended a seminar or a webinar related to CPL before, most training organizations or flying schools which undertake these seminars, they treat it not like an not they will not treat your time in a manner where they're trying to provide you with quality information. So they're wasting your time throughout the entirety of the 1 hour or 2 hour of the seminar. They're going to be trying to sell their products to you, their products being their flying training courses and their ground training courses. This session is not going to be anything like that. My primary aim here is to educate you, to try to give you as much information as possible. Because when you wanted to become a CPL holder, so I'm just going to say CPL, okay, to save time. When you want to go ahead and get a CPL, you have to invest two things dearly into this profession. First thing is money, very important. I really like to talk about money first of all because I think it's the most important aspect if you want to go ahead with the training. And you are going to be requiring at least 60 lakh rupees, okay? At least 60 lakh rupees, come say come 60 lakh rupees for your training. And the minimum amount of time that you require to go ahead and complete the training is approximately 2 to 3.5 years, depending on where you're going to be doing your training from, and depending on how you're proceeding with the training, depending on how you grasp things, and depending on the opportunities you have at the time, the prevailing situation, depending on a variety of factors, the timing can change, the amount you're spending can change. I'm pretty sure you must have seen advertisements on Instagram where they say that you can complete your flight training in 25 or 30 lakh rupees. Yes, anyone seen these advertisements? Please come to us. We'll get your training done in 25 lakh rupees in 6 months, in 12 months. Seen such advertisements, anyone here? Yes, yes, of course. Right. I mean, they sound like a dream and they are like a dream. Okay, they're just fairy tales. There's not going to be any school throughout the entirety of the world where you're going to go ahead and get your commercial pilot's license training done at 25 30 lakh rupees. I mean, there are there are certain schools, but these schools are based out of countries where aviation is not well known. So I really cannot speak about the quality of the training that you're going to be given over there. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is the majority of pilots who do graduate out of these schools, When we look back into the history of aviation accidents and incidents, it is found out that the majority of accidents and investigations, whenever these things are happening, these pilots, majority of the pilots have been found out that they've been trained out of these countries, especially Argentina, Chile, Philippines, to name a few. So, South American and Southeast Asian countries. Yes, you can get your CPL done in 25, 30 lakh rupees, but the quality of training that you're provided with is very shady, and you risk putting yourself in dangers. And of course, when you do start flying for an airline, you also risk putting the lives of others in danger. So you have to keep these things in mind. Cost of your flying training can differ from country to country. Okay, so presently, if you're going to be doing your flying training out of India, you can expect to spend, let's say, around 40 to 45 lakh rupees. If you're going to be going to South Africa, you can again expect to spend around 40 to 45 lakh rupees. So this is inclusive of accommodation and food. Okay. If you're going to the USA, now USA is the best known country around the world for its quality or its developments in the aviation technology industry. Training there can cost you around 65 lakh rupees. That's just the training, accommodation, visa, flight tickets, leisure, the food, all of that is separate. But I have tie-ups with certain schools who provide you the entire course in around, I think that's $52,000, 45 lakh rupees. Accommodation, visa, again, that's separate. There's one more country well known for aviation, that's Canada. Now, Canada is very well known because it provides you certain employment opportunities after you've completed your training with them. So, I have certain students right now who are pursuing their flying training from institutes in Canada because they offer some certain integrated programs, and they also offer you a seat in the airline after you've completed your training. More on these, more on these schools and these flying schools in general later on as we proceed through the session. Yes, Australia. Okay, Australia as well, but I don't like to mention Australia because it's part of the Commonwealth, and generally flying training in the Europe and Australia takes a lot of time, and it's very difficult to get through the conversion process. So that's why I'm not even mentioning things. I'm not trying to make your lives complicated. I'm just trying to simplify them. Okay, so, as I said, I'm here to educate you. Okay, I'm not here to sell you any of my services. We'll proceed. So, let's try to understand what an aviation license is. It's a type of license, okay, which allows the holder to legally fly an aircraft with passengers on board from one point to another. But you can get paid for providing the service of flying the aircraft. That's what a CPL allows a holder to do. Now, there are certain stages that you have to get through in order to get to the CPL. We'll talk about it later. I just don't want to unnecessarily waste your time. There's additional ratings that you can get on top of your CPL. Again, like instructor's rating, there's a ground instructor's rating, there's a glider pilot rating, there's LN transport pilot's license. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So again, more about that later. Um, I would like to know why you would like to become a pilot, because it's necessary for me to know where you're coming from or where your dreams or passions are coming from. Okay. So again, a very, very simple question. Why do you want to become a pilot? What is it about this field that excites you or interests you? I'll start first. For me, I'm not going to lie, honestly, it was the salary and the fact that I got to wear a nice, uniform, a white collared uniform. So these two things, very important for me. What about you? It could be traveling, it could be passion, it could be the fact that you like to stay away from home, you get to meet new people, not a monotonous job, anything, could be anything. But I'd like to know. Okay, same for me. You can respond. You don't have to be introverted here. You just have to type. Okay. Thank you, Dheeraj, for saying money, right? Money, traveling, uniform. Nice. Passion, flying. Dream. Okay. I get that you're going to be having a lot of questions, but let me quickly go through with the presentation and then I'll be answering your questions. Okay, promise your grandmother. Nice. It's a good one. Okay, see, we all have our own reasons. As long as these reasons are enough to, keep us motivated and go chase our dreams, that's completely fine with me. Okay, so what is it that a commercial pilot license holder does, right? So these pilots are responsible for the lives of so many people, the lives of 150. So let's say even 20, 100, 150, 200, 300, depending upon the type of the aircraft, rests on the shoulders of the pilot flying the aircraft. So you have the responsibility on your shoulders. Primarily, you're flying an aircraft from one point to another with passengers on board, right? You are responsible for the safety of the aircraft and the passengers. But that's not all that you're doing. You have to monitor the weather. You are talking to the ATC, you're navigating, you're looking at charts, you're monitoring the instruments, you are communicating with the co-pilot, you're communicating with the cabin crew, with the passengers. So there's a lot going on in the cockpit is comparable to being inside a pressure cooker. A very stressful job because, again, importantly, it's after all, it's a machine. You are responsible for overlooking over, things. You're supposed to be checking things that happening normally. You're supposed to be looking out for emergency indications, emergencies, supposed to be maintaining situational awareness. So yes, it's a difficult job because primarily, you're dealing with the lives of people and you are the one on whom the lives of all these people are rested upon. So it's a job of responsibility. Important for all of you here who are attending the session to know what kind of opportunities you will be having in the future. Now, because let's say you decide to become a pilot, you spend 60 lakh rupees. Most of the times you will also be spending upwards of 60 lakh rupees if you can financially, fund yourself. You want to make all of that money back. You have to make all of that money back and you have to earn more on top of that as well. You want to have that kind of a lifestyle. I'm pretty sure that's why you want to get into this field. One of the many reasons. How many of you here have heard about Adani? Adani, the business tycoon. अडानी का नाम नहीं सुना अडानी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी अडानी स्टील दिस एंड दैट you don't know works in Adani. Inspiration. Nice. Suna. Nice. So, when most people talk about opportunities, they're going to be mentioning how, airlines are hiring right now, which is true. Airlines are hiring right now. SpiceJet, Vistara, Indigo, Go First, Air India Express, all of these airlines are hiring right now. 5 of my batchmates were placed in Vistara. This was 2 weeks ago in their A320 type rated vacancy. They were placed over there. And quite a few of my batchmates were also placed in Air India. And this was just last month. And I'm pretty sure you must have heard of Akasa Airlines, the upcoming ultra low cost airliner in India. They've already started their operations with just one aircraft, but they have 99 more on order and they're going to be receiving these aircraft pretty soon. My point being, when you do purchase a new aircraft, you require at least 6 to 7 pilots for each of these aircraft. Akasa Airlines by themselves will require 6,000 to 7,000 CPL holders in the coming 7 to 8 years. So they're going to be receiving these 100 aircraft over the course of 7 to 8 years, and they're going to be continuously hiring. Also, all of the other airlines are also expanding. Indigo is still receiving their aircraft. Star is also expanding. SpiceJet's expanding. Jet is also again expanding. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for pilots in general. But why did I mention Adani? Adani has recently acquired an MRO organization. So that's maintenance, repair, and overhaul of aircrafts for approximately 400 crore rupees. Okay. Now, that's a big investment in the aviation sector. Now, I am not predicting this. Adani is predicting that there's going to be a huge spurt in demand for the aviation, general civil aviation sector in India. So Adani bhai ki sunenge, and so not my predictions, his predictions. He's going big on the aviation industry, and of course, if he's going to be predicting about it, I'm pretty sure that it is going to happen because he must be having all of that insider information. Things look pretty good if you're going to be beginning with your training in the coming months or in the coming 2 3 years or so. Very, very high chances that by the time you finish with your training, there's going to be a lot of jobs out there for a lot of jobs out there for you to become an airline pilot. Now, also one thing to keep in mind is that not all CPL holders eventually land a job as an airline pilot. That's the harsh reality. Just like not every certified doctor or engineer can land the job as a doctor or an engineer, at least in a good working environment or organization. That same applies to the job of an airline pilot as well. For a CPL holder, you, I mean, it's not 100% surety that you will land a job with an airline. But there are certain things that you can do, certain ratings that you can get on top of your CPL, which will make you more attractive towards the airlines and increase the chances of landing a job with an airline. We'll talk about it later. Okay. Uh, I'm assuming everybody has Instagram here, right? Everybody's been watching reels. So, how many of you follow pilots on Instagram? It's any pilots who vlog. Can you name me some of these pilots? Gaurav Taneja, okay, Pilot Bakshi, Zoya, Olivia, Pilot Joe. There's Gaurav Taneja's wife, Riturati. Then there's Captain Amire, I think. Huh, nice. So you must have seen that they make their life look very luxurious, very glamorous. They seem like they're enjoying themselves, doing fancy things, eating fancy food, staying at fancy places, traveling in fancy cars. Captain Adil Khan, thank you very much, Mr. Watson. So, um, your life will be like that for more for the majority of the part, but there are certain things that they don't show. Okay, and these certain things being irregular sleeping hours, not getting enough sleep, so you can get called at 3 a.m. in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, 9 p.m. in the night, 2 a.m. in the night. So irregular flying schedules, irregular sleeping hours. You might be staying away from family for quite a bit. You might miss out on festive occasions. You might not get holidays as per your convenience. Again, missing out on family gatherings. If you're a person who does not want to stay with family, you have to be venturing out and pretty good for you. But for someone who's attached to the family, I think will be a pretty difficult profession for you. But yes, along with the pros, there are going to be some cons as well. Now, coming to the perks that are given to you by the airliners. So if you're flying from one city to another, which you're going to be doing obviously most of the time, and you're on a layover, then the company is going to pay for your stay. So that's your accommodation, your travel, your food. They're going to pay you extra money for so that you can spend on your leisure and so on and so forth. Tremendous potential for growth once you're in the cockpit, and definitely the salary. It's very very lucrative. Just right now, SpiceJet I think have hiked the salaries for their passengers to for their sorry excuse me for their commanders to 7 lakh rupees per month. Again, we'll discuss about it in the coming slides. Two things that I have not mentioned here are the pride, that you get when you wear that uniform, and the fact that you have an office up there between the clouds at 36,000 feet. Believe me, it looks magical. And once you do get there, you will not be wanting to get down ever. It's just one of those things that you can never get elsewhere. Pretty sure that there's not a lot of professions out there that would give you such an opportunity, to have an office between the clouds. That's very nice, pretty neat. Common misconception among Indian students is that if you have a CPL, then you can only apply for a job as a pilot in an airline. Let me tell you, that is so not true. If you have a CPL, there's a lot of opportunities out there for you as pilots, of course. And if you're flying for any of these four mentioned air services, the salary is pretty close to that of an airline pilot, and you're also generally flying much less. The workload is much lesser. You're closer to home and things like that. So just like we have Ola and Uber on the ground, we have certain operators which operate air taxi services. One example being Zoom Airways. So you can be a pilot in one of those. You can be a pilot of an air ambulance. You can be a pilot in a chartered jet. So businessmen, the very rich people, they fly in their private jets. That's what you call a chartered jet. So you can be a pilot in one of those. You can be a pilot in a search and rescue aircraft. You can also be a pilot in the Indian Air Force. But we're not going to be talking about the Indian Air Force, not today. But yes, if you want to be joining me for one of my master classes, maybe we'll discuss it over there. Mr. Watson, give me 2 minutes. I'll come to that. Just, I'll be there. I'm going to be there pretty soon. So, once you do join in with an Indian airline, very high chances that you're going to be flying either the ATR 72, that's on your left hand side, this propeller aircraft turboprop, 737 MAX or a 737, which Akasa Airlines is going to be operating exclusively, or the Airbus A320, which Indigo operates exclusively. Baki Indian Airlines, mein, these are all these aircrafts are staggered, and they have some of 77s, some of A320s, some A330s, some A321s, 77 Max, ATR 70 to 600, 700, so on and so forth. Once you do upgrade, you are a commander and you want to fly for an airlines in the Middle East, you want to fly for Etihad, Qatar, Emirates, Saudi Arabian Airlines, you want to get that huge pay package, you'll be flying either the 787, that's on the top right, or the 777, which is on the bottom right. Okay. The important part, the all important part, salary part, right? So I'm going to be stating certain steps that you need to go through in order to become a commercial pilot and apply for a job as an airline pilot. You may write it down. I'm not going to be elaborating on it right now, but yes, towards the end of the session, I'll be doing that. So you can jot it down as I speak. So first things first, you need to have 10 plus 2 science, physics, and mathematics qualification. If you don't have that, don't worry. I'll give you an alternative of how you can become a pilot. If you're from if you've done a diploma, you're from the arts stream or commerce stream. You need to have a medical certificate. Once you have these two qualifications done with, you can apply for something known as a computer number, which is the roll number given to you by the Civil Aviation Ministry of India, which will allow you to appear for the ground exams. Clear the exams, choose a country, go for your flying training, complete your flying training in accordance to the syllabus prescribed by the Indian Civil Aviation Ministry. Submit your documents, wait for a while, receive your license. Now, you have a choice here. You can go ahead and get something as an airline transport pilot's license. You can get additional experience, additional ratings, or you can just start applying for airlines. Once you do get a job with an airline, you will be joining in as a junior first officer, okay, or a trainee first officer. I was just speaking to one of my friends 2 days ago. So, just to keep in the local what's happening in the airlines. And for Vistara, the training period is now 6 months to 8 months. And for Air India, I think it is 4 months. So you'll be spending these many months under training. And while you're under training, you're getting paid a stipend of 25,000 to 75,000 rupees per month. I know that's less, but because you're not a permanent employee as of yet, you cannot ask for much. In your training, you'll be going through a lot of simulator training. So we learn the rules and regulations of the airliners of the Indian airspace. Once you're done with your training, a check pilot comes in, examines you, you clear the exam, and you're line released, and you're known as a first officer now. As a first officer, you earn anywhere between 1,15,000 to 1,50,000 rupees per month. So for someone with zero experience. Fly for 2 more years, have at least 1,000 flying hours, and you will be promoted to the position of a senior first officer. This is where things get interesting because as a senior first officer, you're earning anywhere between 350 to 450. So 350 to 450,000 rupees per month. Again, figures may vary depending upon the current scenarios and financial crisis, your own personal experience and such. Fly for 2 more years with the airliner, have at least 1,000 hours. And in addition to the CPL, if you have an ATPL license, then you're eligible to become a commander of the aircraft. Commander and captain are not one and the same. All pilots are given the title of a captain, but there's only one commander on board every aircraft. The commander is the one responsible for the safety of the aircraft and its occupants. So he's the pilot in command. He is the final authority. He is the most competent authority, and his or her decision, is final. The good thing about being a commander is you get all of these responsibilities, but you get to earn a little bit more as well. Your salary will be anywhere between 6 lakh to 7 lakh rupees per month starting out. Okay. Once you go in for, Etihad or Qatar Emirates, you can expect the pay to be between 15 to 20 lakh rupees per month. On top of that, they give you accommodation. They take care of your travel, they take care of your children's education, your insurance, and all of that as well. So yes, if you want to be a pilot, you should definitely aim to be a pilot in the Middle East because that's where most of the demand is, and that's where the money is as well. So you're a commander, you want to maybe venture further ahead into this industry, no problems. You can go ahead and become a check pilot. A check pilot is someone who takes exams of other pilots or junior first officers in the cockpits. This is known as proficiency checks. Then you have a test pilot. A test pilot checks out the newly acquired aircraft by the airliners. They also have the responsibility of flying these aircraft from the place of manufacture to the place where they're supposed to be parked. Not a lot of salary differences between commander, check pilot, and test pilot. But as you ascend in the hierarchy, you're flying much, much lesser and earning more or less, generally more than what you are earning as a commander. Chief pilot is the one under whose guidance and administration all of the other pilots in the entire airline are working. So just because there's one or two of these chief pilots, salary is higher in the range of 25, 30, 35 lakh. You can also get into management if you do get bored of flying an aircraft, but I'm pretty sure you're not here because you want to be doing a management or a desk-based job. You're here because you want something interesting, something thrilling, because it's your passion. I'm pretty sure your passion is not to sit on a desk from 9 to 5. That's definitely not a passion. So I'm not going to be talking about management. 63, 64, 65. You can work till the age of 60, 64, 65. No. Someone here is mentioning cadet pilot program. There's something completely different. If we have time, I'll talk about it in this session. So management pilots are pretty good as well, upwards of 15 lakh rupees. Do you like what you see here? How does this look? Mr. Watson, please want to hold on to your questions. I'll answer them towards the end of the session. Okay. I've not clicked these pictures. I've taken them over the internet. But these pictures give a great perspective on how it looks or feels like when you are flying an aircraft under training. Definitely, you can't get to know how it feels like, but yes, you can see how it looks like when you're flying a training aircraft. On the top left-hand side, that's the Cessna 172. That's a trainer aircraft flying in USA, California, San Francisco. That's a Golden Gate Bridge. On the bottom left, that's an aircraft registered in Canada. And on the right-hand side, you can see how it looks like when an aircraft is venturing through clouds. Now, these pictures were taken by me when I was undergoing my training. I have completed my training out of a flying school in San Diego, San Diego, state, California, country, USA. There are certain perks of flying in the USA, which I'll try to talk about as I move through the session. I might not be able to cover everything, but as much as I can cover, I'll definitely try to cover. So you can see the varied terrain. You can see the city of Los Angeles on the top right-hand side there. On the bottom left-hand side, that's my flying over the ocean. What you see below the clouds is known as marine layer that comes in over the ocean during the evenings and during sunrise. Again, agricultural fields. Now, that top left-hand side image is very, very important because it brings me to a very important point. According to the DGCA, that's the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, you're going to be dealing with the DGCA completely for the issuance of your license, okay? And for any queries or questions related to CPL, exams or training. They prescribe a syllabus which consists of 200 hours of flying training. Out of these 200 hours, 100 hours are supposed to be training, and 100, the other 100 are supposed to be solo cross country. Solo meaning you alone in the aircraft. Cross country does not mean that you have to cross different countries and go from one country to another. It just means that your flight has to be greater than 50 kilometer in distance when you depart from an aerodrome or an airport. The reality of flying schools in India is this. For the course of your solo cross countries, they're going to be marking out maybe 3 or 4 routes on a chart. Okay. And they're going to be asking you to continuously fly over these 3 or 4 routes for 100 hours. 100 hours is a lot. It takes approximately 5 to 6 months to continuously fly every day for 2 3 hours and get to 100 hours. That's how long it takes to fly 100 hours. Believe me, see, I'm going to give my opinion is not biased, but I'm just trying to state facts here. In schools in India, for the entirety for 100 hours of solo cross country, you're going to be asked to fly over 3 or 4 routes only. So 3 or 4 routes, 100 hours. It gets very boring, very monotonous, very, very quickly, and you are just going to lose interest. You're going to get tired of it. You're going to be like, this is not what I signed up for. So if you don't want to get into that situation, I would suggest that you join in with a school or a school in a country where there's a lot of freedom given to student or private pilots to fly to wherever you want to and to fly the way that you want to. Again, I'll be elaborating on this further in my masterclass. So, which countries do allow you to do this? How to make sure that your school will allow you to conduct such flights, and so on and so forth. Don't worry about that. But the picture that you see on the top left-hand side there is my aircraft flying over an island over the ocean. It's known as the Santa Catalina Island. Again, that's in California. It's 15 kilometers away from the ocean, so we had to make a flight over the ocean. And that was really good because I don't think you're going to get to have such an experience anywhere else in the world. Also, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to promote flying in the United States. I'm just stating facts. Coming to the best portion of flying, that's flying at night. Hands down, the best time of so your training period is going to be the most amazing and fun part of your flying career. But flying at night gives it a different dimension because things just look glamorous, gorgeous. You have these street lights, you have the stars shining, generally very quiet, very peaceful, very cold as well. Just feels amazing to fly at night. I don't have enough words in my vocabulary to explain how it feels like. But yes, I'm pretty sure if you do go to a good school, you'll be able to experience flying at night. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that flying at night in India for a student pilot is prohibited by law. Prohibited meaning you can't do it. So again, please, when you're researching about schools, please take these things into consideration. Okay, let's play a small game. I'm going to be enabling annotations for you. Please don't misuse this. Otherwise, I'll just end the session right then and there. 30 seconds. I want you to circle wherever you think the runway is. Okay, not even the airport, just where you think the runway is. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Starts now. Okay, that's nice. Okay, Sahil has done a great job. I don't think Sahil is on. Sahil has a video on. Yeah. No, Sahil does not have a video on, but yes, great job, Sahil. That's nice. Right. So Sahil circled this. Um, One of the most difficult jobs of a pilot when the pilot is flying at night is actually spotting the airport or the runway because everything just looks the same when you're flying at night. But don't worry, we have certain types of lights and guidance systems which help us to identify airports at night. Also, majority of training airports in India, they don't have lights on them. Okay, no airport lights, no runway lights, no taxiway lights, no approach lights, no lights whatsoever. Again, I'll be talking about them in the coming slides. Yes, but majority of airports in more developed countries like USA, Canada, most majority 95% of airports have lighting over there, and it's just feels great actually to land on an airport at night. Okay, so these pictures are from my flying school. I got my training done now approximately 7 years ago. 7 years ago, they had 20 aircrafts. Now, why is this important? When you choose a flying school, I would say that you have to make sure that they have at least 10 aircrafts in their roster. Now, why? Most of the times, what happens is you start researching for a school. The school says that they have 10 aircrafts, 12 aircrafts. You say, great, great, that's a lot of aircrafts. You ask how many students they have. They say we only have a few students. Our student to instructor ratio is 3:1. Our aircraft to student ratio is 3:1. Well, oh, great, that's very nice. I'm going to get an opportunity to fly a lot, to learn a lot. You pay the money, you go there. So you pay half the fees, you go there. You reach the school, you're very happy. You go out to have a look at the aircrafts, and you're let down because you see that there's only 4 or 5 aircrafts out there when the school mentioned that there were going to be 12, 15 aircrafts. So what happened to the rest of the aircrafts? You run to the manager of the school or the chief flying instructor and you ask them, like, what is up? Where are the aircrafts? And the response that you're going to get 99% of the time is they're under repair. They're not airworthy, undergoing technical maintenance right now. This is the harsh reality about schools. They market their school as being one of the best, saying we have so many aircrafts, our fleet is so huge. But when you actually go to schools, and this happens a lot in India, okay, especially in Redbird Aviation, because I heard somebody asking about Redbird Aviation. So you're going to be left disappointed. So they're also going to say, you have only 10 students. But when you go there, you see that there are upwards of 50 students. They said we have 15 instructors, but you find out there are only 3 instructors. So it's going to make training very, very difficult for you because you can just imagine how long it would take for you to get your training done on 5 aircrafts shared among 50 students. And again, 3 instructors shared among 50 students. That's going to take a lot of time. I'm pretty sure you're not going to get your training done in such a situation in under 12 months or so. Impossible, definitely impossible. But again, in my later sessions, I'll be helping you with finding schools which are suitable for you, schools which are not overcrowded, schools which have a lot of aircrafts, which are in good airspaces, and so on and so forth. This is the airport out of which I've done my flying training. Now, striking, striking airport, but this is a very basic type of airport for the USA. You can see it as 1, 2, 3 runways. Okay, it has a dedicated ATC tower. This is the name of the airport right here. There's the San Diego International Airport here. There is a military airport here. So generally training airports land on this runway. You can also land here, but this is generally used for corporate aircrafts. So a corporate aircraft will be landing here and training aircraft will be landing here. It's very, very nice. You're going to be seeing 737s, 777s, A320s, F-22s, helicopters, gliders, hot air balloons, towing aircraft. You're going to be seeing a lot of different types of aircraft you've not even heard about before. You're going to be flying amongst them. You're going to be talking to the ATC while they're talking to the ATC. So this feeling is much, much greater than the feeling of being an airline pilot, in my opinion, at least. So because you're going to be spending upwards of 50 lakh rupees, I will suggest you to be spending 5 or 10 lakh rupees more and try to get the best out of it because itna paisa bhar hi rahe. So might as well, just pay a little bit extra for that premium and get the most out of it because The training that you get in India after spending 40, 45 lakh rupees is not comparable at all to what you get maybe in the US or Canada. It's literally Zameen Asman ka fark. That's how drastic the change in quality is. Again, I want to reiterate that I'm not, these are not biased opinions. I had to come to India. So, of course, I'm in India now. And when I completed my training in the US, I had to come back to India for my conversion because I wanted an Indian license. One of the steps, one extra steps, one additional step when you're doing a flying training from outside is that you have to give certain tests in India. So I went to this school called Falcon Aviation Academy based in Faizabad, and they had said we have 15 aircrafts. So we have 15 aircrafts. I said, okay, great. So I can assume that my conversion is going to take place very, very quickly. I have to only fly 10 hours. I came to the school. I see they had only three working aircrafts out of 15. There are only three working aircrafts. Three. Okay, three. They had upwards of 50 students, 50. No ATC tower. Uh, no airport lighting, no runway lighting, nothing of that sort. It was just a weird, I mean, after having flown in the US coming to India, it was just a very weird experience because things really looked out of place in that particular school, at least. And while I was there, there was also an accident which happened on the runway whereby an instructor took an aircraft and dished it in a taxiway. So she was just taxiing over on the taxiway, and somehow she lost control, and the plane fell into a ditch. And flying over the entire school was stopped for the next 10 days. So I ended up wasting my time there as well. So just one of the many experiences. Again, we'll talk more about this in the later sessions. Let's proceed. How many of you have heard about Chimes Aviation Academy? Yes, Kamlesh, coming to DGC exam. Chimes Aviation Academy, Madhya Pradesh Flying Club, किसने सुना है? Anyone? Yes, yes, yeah, I heard. No, I. Okay. When they market themselves, when you're going to be seeing their ad, you're going to be seeing one big aircraft, stylish, two pilots wearing glasses, folding their hands, posing with the plane. Title being the best flying school in India. What you see on the left hand side, that's their airport or their runway. As you can see, it's just mud everywhere, one single strip of airport and one taxiway on the right hand side. They have a big hangar in which they store 12 aircraft, but only five or six of them are functional. They don't have a dedicated ATC tower. They have a small room where they ask students to sit and do the communication of the ATC. Very risky, very dangerous, mental, in my opinion. No airport lights, no runway lights. If they do want to conduct night flight, they use lanterns filled with candles inside. They light that up and they lit the edges of the runway using those lanterns. I mean, that is the state of flying schools in India. And one, I mean, in their opinion, at least, one of the best flying schools in India. You can talk to students of Chimes Aviation Academy or Redbird Aviation Academy, and you're going to be hearing from them their honest opinions about the school. Now, because you already have to pay before you can get into the school, you already spent half of the money. Now you can't back off because the amount is non-refundable. So, I mean, yes, because of that, students generally get stuck in these schools. But I mean, you're going to land a job. Even if you completed CPL training for 25 lakh rupees, you are going to land a job. But as I said, in the important moments, that little bit of training or the little bit of experience is going to count, of course. On the right hand side, what you see is the Santa Barbara International Airport, again in California, USA. You can see three runways again, taking off and landing over the ocean, dedicated ATC tower. There's technologically advanced radio navigation aids as civil aircraft taking off and landing on the airport. Generally, it's a very complex or very great environment for flying. So for those who can afford it, definitely I would say, I mean, you can't look past the USA for your flight training. For those who can afford it, of course. But if I were to give you a choice, right, I mean, where money is not a factor, and I would ask you, where would you like to complete your flying training out of? So from the airport on the left or the airport on the right, which one would you rather choose? Left or right? Right. See, so this is how I'm going to be helping you throughout the sessions, throughout the masterclass as well. I'm going to be giving you my opinion about things. I'm to be going to be stating some facts for you, and I'm going to allow you to make your own decisions. I'm not going to be making any decisions for you. This is going to be listing the pros and cons of different flight school, different regions, and you can make conscious decision by yourself. I was in your place a few years ago, right? And I did decide to go ahead and join a flight school in the US. Now, when I was joining the school, I was given a brochure in which it was quoted that I will not be paying more than 40 lakh rupees for my training. I was like happy. I was, oh, that's cheap. That's so nice. By the time I'd finished my training, I had spent 65 lakh rupees on my flying training alone. Yeah, 65 lakh rupees. Where did all this extra money come into? So again, when you're joining flight schools, they are going to be hiding a lot of things from you. There's going to be a lot of hidden charges, and if you're an amateur, you don't know how to deal with these flying schools. They are going to be making a fool out of you. They, as I said, they are into the money making business. So you have to go through a consultancy agency, or you have to go through. So I also went through a consultancy agency, but because I'd already spent 40 lakh rupees by the time I had known about hidden charges, I did not have any other choice, right? So I have learned from my experience, and this is why I'm here today. I don't want you, all of you to go through the same experience again, waste your time and money. So that's why I'm holding these sessions are to help you save your time and money, of course. Again, I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll be meeting again in one of my master classes, and we'll be talking about this in greater depth. Coming to what you need to become a pilot, you need to be at least 18 years of age. As I mentioned, you need to be 10 plus 2 science, physics, maths pass. You need to have a medical certificate. How exactly to get the medical certificate and pass certificate, I'll discuss this in the masterclass. Once you have these two certificates, you can apply for a computer number. It will allow you to give your ground exams in India. And you need funding to, of course, fund your flight training because that's the most expensive bit. And if you've done a diploma, if you're from arts or commerce, don't worry. You will have to study and give your 12th standard physics maths examination again. Two pathways to go ahead and complete your CPL training. You can give your ground exams first and then do flight training, or you can do your flight training first and then give your ground exams. I suggest that you give your ground exams first and then go for flight training because by the time you've completed your ground training, you already have a lot of knowledge, and your flying training becomes much more smoother and enjoyable because you already know things. You may screenshot this. This is very important. I hope there's nothing else on the screen which is disturbing the view. So divided into two parts, as I said, practical training and theory training. Practical, 200 hours of flying training as prescribed by the Civil Aviation Ministry of India. Okay, you can do that in India or abroad. There are certain schools which do it much better than others. Certain schools that provide a much better flying experience than others. We'll talk about it in the later sessions. Now, theory is where things get complicated because these are online exams, computer-based MCQ choice held by the Directorate General Civil Aviation 4 times a year. So competitive pilot ground examinations. Now there are sessions happening every month as well, online on-demand sessions because COVID hit, there was a lot of backlog, so they had to increase the number of sessions to cope up with the demand. If you're going to be flying in India, you have to give 6 exams. Navigation, so deals with charts, the earth, routes, and all of that. Regulation, so rules and regulations. Technical general talks about aerodynamics of flying aircrafts. Meteorology is the study of weather. Technical specific is the study of specific types of aircraft. And you have something known as a radio telephony license, clearing which will enable you to operate the radio telephone receiver in the aircraft. Out of these exams, navigation, technical general, RT are the most difficult. The most difficult. I'm not trying to, demotivate you or anything, but I just want you to understand how things are going to be like. You can study by yourself and clear technique, regulation, meteorology, and technical specific. But I would highly suggest that you join up with a professional training institute or a ground instructor who will help you to clear nav, tech general, and RT. 95% of students who appear for the navigation exams by themselves, study by themselves, and appear for these exams, they fail. They fail. Because there's a lot of complex numericals which are involved in navigation, and if you're studying by yourself, you're not going to be able to grasp the concept of how to solve these numericals. So it's better if you join up with a ground training institute. There's a lot of mainstream institutes, but I would suggest that you don't join up with them, because just like how there are IIT institutes, IIM training institutes, there's going to be 100, 200 of you sitting in a room, like packed, like sheep. There's going to be one teacher. There's some people going to be on the last bench, 50 feet away. There's going to be someone on the first bench. You might not be able to hear properly because there's so many people. You're going to be afraid to ask questions. There's no personal attention, even though they're going to be marketing it by saying that we give personal attention. So you have to stay away from these things. And they also charge you 3 to 4 times more than what the actual cost is. Okay. If you're going to a well-renowned aviation training institute, they're going to charge you upwards of 3 lakh or 4 lakh rupees for maybe 4 or 5 subjects. So please be careful when you're choosing a flying school. Generally, the cheaper ones where there are lesser students in a batch are more beneficial for you, because first of all, you get to learn more and you have personal attention and you can ask questions as well. RT exam is the only exam which consists of 2 portions. First is a theory portion, and the second is an interview portion. Clear the theory exam, and then you can have your interview where there's going to be 2 officers, one from Civil Aviation Ministry and the other from Telecommunication Ministry, asking you questions. People generally spend 7 to 8 attempts to clear the RT exam, 3 to 4 attempts to clear navigation exam. So ground exam देते देते ही 3 4 साल निकल जाते हैं. So that's why I would suggest that you join up with the school and try to clear these exams and get done with the legal processes in under a year to save your time and get your money both. If you're flying from outside of India, good news. You're going to have to give only navigation exam, meteorology, regulation exam. In certain cases, you can avoid giving the RT exam as well. I think that's good news for most of you out there. So if you can afford it, you should definitely try to complete your flying training from abroad. The biggest blockage in your path towards getting a CPL will be caused to you by the Civil Aviation Ministry of India themselves, because they are very slow with their processes of issuing documents, issuing confirmations, issuing emails, issuing licenses. So you need someone who will help you, who knows how to deal with these people, so that your process of applying for these licenses and documents go very, very smoothly, which will help you to save your time, of course, money as well. So don't worry if you're going to be joining me for the master classes. I'm going to be talking about how to deal with the DGCA, how to access their websites, how to apply for medical certificates, pass certificates, computer number, and all of that as well. So that's all from my side. Now, can I ask you a question, please? I'd like to ask you a question. How was the session today?